Rusty, you expected the Clippers to come out. You know, Paul George is going to be a problem, along with Kawhi Leonard. The Lakers know what they have to do. They'll look at some video and, you know, try to come back the next game. But it's only one game. But the Clippers, they have a new attitude, and they have a lot more to prove tonight. So hats off to the Clippers. They played a great game, and, you know, the Lakers have to pick up and go from here.
Yeah, one game. I like that perspective, that reminder we got from Kevin Harlan during the broadcast tonight. You know, after losing to the Clippers a season ago, as you mentioned, dropping that opening night, the Lakers went on to win 24. They went 24-3 in their first 27 games. And I think it was a lot of what we expected coming into tonight, all the circumstances. It's the reality. It is not an excuse. The Clippers showed up and did what they were supposed to do. I think that's an element we can't forget, was that there's a lot of motivation on their side as well, given how things went for them last season, a season ago. And they came out and they did what they were supposed to do.
Yeah, you look at the big four in this game, the two superstars for both teams, Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, combining for 59 points. Paul George, 13 of 18. LeBron James with 22, 7 of 17. Slow start, but got it going. AD, 18 points, 8 of 15, and 7 rebounds. End of the third quarter kind of sticks out to me, guys. Lakers, up to that point with about 2 minutes and 27 seconds left, they were right there. Many chances to take the lead, could never do it. Luke Kennard hits a shot, and then Paul George goes on a 10-0 run. Just like that, Allie, the quarter ends, and the Clippers are up 11 points.
Look, I think Frank told us yesterday what we all need to keep in mind. There are going to be some ugly moments. There are going to be some ugly nights. And I think the moments tonight that stood out, particularly to end that third quarter, also to end the first quarter, stretches and runs in which they could have taken advantage, and instead it went against their favor. I think when you look at a guy like Paul George, we have to remember, you said that he's going to be a problem. The narrative about Paul George has never been about who he is in the regular season. It's always about what happens when it matters most in the postseason. Yeah. That's where he has struggled. And so to see what he was able to do, you point to those 10 straight points. He is a superstar in this league. He is one of the best two-way players in this league. His ability to score in the ways in which he can score. We saw it tonight in the home opener for him, or the opening night game for him. He did what he was supposed to do. Reminded us who he was.
Before we get to the ring ceremony, because we do want to talk about some positives that came out of tonight, the Lakers getting their championship rings, I want to talk Lakers defense. And I don't want to talk a lot about last year, but it is so fresh because it just happened literally like 6 weeks ago. We said it in the pregame show, this is a different team, different style, some new personnel. You lost some defensive-minded guys. I think, James, we were used to that Laker team really being able to lock in. We only saw glimpses of it tonight, maybe in the second and third quarter. But first quarter, fourth quarter, Lakers kind of struggled defensively, and I think that's where they're going to have to improve the most and tighten it up. I
think they'll get in sync. You know, they lost a couple of players to Dwight Howard, McGee, you know, shot blockers.
Avery Bradley.
Avery Bradley was a perimeter assassin. So, yeah, those are the things that, you know, even though they are multi-talented and they brought in 4 new fresh players, those are the type of things that you're going to have to, you know, work on as a team. Because when you lose, you know, players, you bring in other players, you know, offensively is easy. Defensively, the communication, I think that's where Marc Gasol will come in. Schroeder's a pretty good defensive player. I don't think it's going to be a problem, but they're going to have to figure out how to get in sync defensively. Also, when you have Paul George as hot as he was, there's really no defense for that. But the Lakers, you know, they have some improvement. They know they're going to have to work on some things, and so that's going to be their challenge on the defensive end.
You know, they often say, though, that it's not, when it comes to the defensive end of the floor, it's not about the size per se, though that was a luxury for the Lakers last season and they made that work. It's all about what's inside. And I actually think that the Lakers have a lot of dogs. They have a lot of defensive-minded guys. But to your point, it's going to take some time to put it all together on that end of the floor, the communication, having your legs, having your wind, and having that be a strong backbone. Because I would actually argue that of the positive things tonight that you were able to take away, it's that when the Lakers dive into themselves and really dig deep, they're going to be a strong defensive team. That will be their identity yet again this season.
All right, guys, after the shortest offseason in NBA history, literally, the Lakers received their 2019-2020 championship rings.
The Lakers will repeat, but I think it's going to be tough for them to repeat. And they'll probably lose tonight because, you know, ring ceremony, you know, opening night, those are always tough games to win. So I wouldn't be surprised if they got beat by the Clippers tonight, but I do expect them to come out of the West.
All right, Sam, in looking at the Lakers' chances, you got to look at the roster and what they did in a very short period of time as far as flipping this thing over. Rondo, Dwight Howard, Avery Bradley, Danny Green, gone. Re-signed LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Kyle Kuzma, KCP. Then they brought in the sixth man of the year, Montrezl Harrell, the runner-up in Dennis Schroeder, and then Marc Gasol. So on paper, it looks as if they've gotten better. I get that right?
Yeah, you got it right, Chris. Not only they've gotten better, they've gotten younger, they've gotten more athletic, and they've gotten faster, and they're hungry. That's the thing that you want to do. When you're coming off a championship, Pat Riley used to say this, you got to add some guys to your team that are hungry, that haven't won yet. And so when you look at Montrezl Harrell, you look at Dennis Schroeder, those guys are trying to prove themselves. Dennis Schroeder trying to prove himself as a starter. Montrezl Harrell trying to prove himself that he is the sixth man of the year and that he can bounce back from a bad, poor showing in the bubble. So when I look at this Laker team, and Isaiah's right, they may struggle tonight, and they're going to have their ups and downs during the regular season. But come playoff time, when that defense come together and that mental toughness shows up, like Rob Pelinka said, the Lakers going to be right there playing for a championship, I believe, at the end of the season.
Well, for the Lakers to win, they got to beat somebody, right, Zeke? So looking at the contenders, I mean, the Miami Heat, Milwaukee Bucks come to mind, Boston Celtics in the East. Then out west, I mean, Denver, Utah, Portland, I guess Phoenix. You can throw a lot of teams on that list. Who do you have as being the most likely to be able to contend with the Lakers for a championship?
I look at the Brooklyn Nets coming out of the East, and when you're looking at Durant and you're looking at Irving, you got to be able to match the Lakers' 1-2 punch of LeBron James and Anthony Davis. And what Kevin Durant can do is he can neutralize LeBron James from a scoring standpoint and an impact on the game standpoint. So Durant and LeBron James, those two will neutralize each other. And then you go to the second player, Kyrie Irving, Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis on the interior, what he can do, to change a game. Then you got Kyrie on the exterior in terms of what he can do around the perimeter to impact the game. So I look at those two, being able to really, input their mental toughness and also their gamesmanship on display when they're playing against each other. And I think Brooklyn has the best chance.
Well, it would be hard to disagree with you, Zeke, on that, with your 2 rings and repeating, going back-to-back. So whatever you want to call him, I mean, he deserves every moniker we've ever heard. MVP, that's the question for you. When he left this game, he was playing at that level as a top 5 player in this league. From the sliver we've seen in the preseason, will he come back playing at that level?
I think so, Chris. I think Kevin Durant is back. I think he's going to prove all the naysayers wrong. When you watch him in the preseason for the moments that we saw, that Achilles is not bothering him. We know he's going to be able to do that, elevate over people, and shoot that jumper at any time. But he's confident. He's had a year and a half to get his mind and his body right. He's had a chance to sit back and focus on the West and the Eastern Conference. And I'm telling you right now, that fire is burning inside of him. And Chris, not only do I think Brooklyn is going to be the best team in the East, I think Kevin Durant is going to be the comeback player of the year and the MVP because he's got a lot to prove because we talk about Steph. It's been a while since we've seen Steph Curry on the floor, and you kind of miss him. Well, it's been a while since we've seen KD on the floor. And I think he's going to come back with a vengeance and a lot to prove. Great
to have both of those players back. But, Isaiah, we also get to see Kyrie and KD together. And I can see you giddy over there. But here's the thing. We haven't seen them on the court, but Kyrie said he's not talking to the media. They had the Instagram Live in which Kyrie said, I'm going to start backing people down. And Katie was like, no, you're not going to do that. Then there was the burning sage incident before the game in Boston. So many off-the-court distractions for Kyrie already. Is his game going to be bigger than those distractions once we get to the season?
You can talk about the sage. You can talk about all the off-the-court stuff you want. All I know is when number 11 gets the basketball and he go to shaking and baking and doing his thing on the basketball court, he's one of the most beautiful basketball players I ever seen and ever watched play. And now you watch he and Durant together. I just think spiritually they're on the right wavelength. I think their energy is in the same space.